Welcome everyone, my name is Lucas QT, and today I'm gonna present a character newly arrived in Immortal Grandmastery, Hanley. I'm gonna present a bit what techniques I use on him, what artifacts, and I'm gonna give some recommendations. Without further ado, let's get things started. Before I start to present the techniques and artifacts and gear that I recommend using on Hanley, I have to mention that while he is good, and you also get free copies from him from the event, the collaboration one, issue is he's never gonna reach his full potential unless you bring him to Red Fate and you purchase the endowment for $50. That's the truth. His full potential can be achieved only by having this. Even so, he's very good without it. But remember, for full potential, you need this one. Now let's take a look at the techniques. Currently, I'm running him for fire, because this is how I deal the most damage in PvE, and it's also decent for PvP. Let's take a look at the techniques. As you can see, I'm running Blazing Sun Art and Skyburst Sword. I need to mention techniques that have this sign here, Sword Art, get a bonus of 12% to their power. This is the class skill for all the swordsmen. She also has it without the additional text, which is unique to Hanley and other characters which are limited. Now, this is the free-to-play low-budget option of skills, but it's pretty great because both of them increase the attack of Hanley without actually cancelling each other. It says here, if multiple attack boosts exist, only the strongest applies. Yeah, that's very true. Thing is, this one here is a buff directly applied to him. It's not a buff like I'm gonna show. Actually, it's better if I show in practice. Now for artifacts, there is only two artifacts that I really recommend for fire. One of them is the Tier 2 artifact, which ignores enemy shields. Very great. A lot of enemies use shield, so it's top choice. For Tier 1, this artifact without doubt, Molten Crystal. Now, it kind of overlaps a bit with the Skyburst Sword buff of attack boost, but there is no other choice. This is the best artifact you can get for Tier 1. And I need to mention, I can't show Tier 3, I'm not that far into the game yet, so yeah. But all these artifacts, Tier 1 and Tier 2, they are gonna be changed to Tier 3 later down the line. Even if maybe the skills of Tier 2 or Tier 1 are better than whatever options you get at Tier 3, you are gonna be forced to switch, simply because the amount of raw stats you obtain is way higher. Like, just compare the amount here with the amount here. There is no comparison really, and it's gonna be more extreme for Tier 3 artifacts. Now let's test it in practice. Let's do a duel with myself. What better way to see it? Okay. For now, Hanley has Turn Sword Guard, which is basically from his passive. Smoldering Ire, attack up. Okay. Turn attack up. Now, this turn attack up is actually from the Skyburn Cleave. It's not from Smoldering Ire. You are gonna see in a bit again. Smoldering Ire activates. Bam 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 plus. And this one stays the same because it's from the other skill. From Skyburn. Up. See? Even if that one goes up, it doesn't really modify the blue buff because they are separate. Yeah. And now it's gone. Okay, let's speed this up. You saw what I mean. And let's take a look at the damage. Nothing impressive here. I have had better. Pretty similar here. To be honest, a lot of the damage varies because it relies a lot on critical hits. Way more than it should, but that's how swordsmen work. Let's speed this up. Let's see the values now. Yeah, varies. A lot of shielding. With this occasion, I can also mention that I have seen people mention that Hanley can be used as a secondary frontliner if you need more damage, because he can tank thanks to his passive a bit. I mean, it's not a bad choice, okay, but later you want to keep him in the back and actually have a proper tank in the front. But if you don't have another option, sure, this works. He shields a lot. Okay, now let me show you the skills for Water Hanley. Well, I don't really like to run this setup. I leveled up the skills initially just to test, to see the difference. And I'm gonna show in practice why I don't like to run this setup actually. Well, the damage is way lower compared with the fire build, by far way lower. And why? Because this is basically a crowd control setup. But if you have another hero, as I do, that takes charge of crowd control in your team, you don't really want to run Hanley with crowd control also. You would rather have him do DPS. At least that's what I want him to do. Now, everybody with their choice, but yeah. Now, this artifact is decent. It's single target DPS, and it's for problematic enemies that have invisible, undefeatable, and shield. At the same time, it works decently for bosses. But even if it works, you lose a lot of damage from the techniques because they are for crowd control, not for DPS, for pure DPS as an attack boost, the same way the ones from Fire are. And let me also show actually the tier 1 artifact. It's this one, the one for DPS, water, and it's not my favorite really. I tried it in the past and I was like, nah, I would rather just stick to the fire. Way more damage if you run the molten crystal artifact. Let's also test it in practice. At least the tier 2 artifact. The fight took way longer. Now, as you can see, the skill from the artifact worked very well, a lot of damage. The techniques though, disappointing, very disappointing. And at the same time, a lot of crowd control from Hanley, even though his effect hit is pretty subpar. But at the same time, she also did a lot of crowd control. So there is an overlap of roles when actually this guy could have done more damage and finished the fight faster if he actually had DPS. And here, the Hanley on this part was unlucky. He got stunned way more times, that's why his DPS is lower. But as you can see, the Frostblade is not that great. And look at this. Crow control count 28. This is what I was talking about. I ran her with effect hit and a lot of speed. Her only goal is hit first, stun the enemy. And most of the time, it does the job, unless you're unlucky. Let's do one more run. And as you can see, this time around, less damage from here and more damage from here. Still very low damage from the techniques, way lower compared with the fire. This Hanley was crowd controlled a lot, that explains the low damage. So yeah, everybody runs whatever they want. It's not a bad choice, but it's something else which relies on crowd control. I prefer to deal DPS and let Tank DA handle the crowd control. Now, let me show the skills for Earth and Wood and Metal. Even though I don't have them, so I can't really do tests to show how they work. I'm just gonna show you the combinations. For epics, it's this one, doing Sword Art. Pretty decent. It's gonna get the boost because it's a Sword Art, 12% more damage. This is Flux Radiance. You can obtain it from the collaboration event, where you can also get Hanley, a free copy of his for free, yeah. And I can say I'm a fan of it. It's great, yeah, sure. Problem is, your character is no longer gonna crit. I mean, as long as they're using this technique, because it doesn't crit. You only get the modifiers up here and that's it. So yeah, you're gonna need to run another gear set on your Hanley, which I'm gonna talk a bit later. And if you really want to go for this, you would want to pair it with Boulder Sword Art. This is another skill that doesn't crit, and it's a Sword Art, so it's gonna get a 12% bonus, and it's gonna be perfect together with Flux Radiance. Another technique from here would be... Actually, no, there is... I've seen somebody run this. I can't say this is the best choice because you're looking only to reduce... I mean, you're looking to deal DPS. At least that's what I'm looking to do with Hanley. But I guess it works if you don't have another option. Not my first pick though. Let's take a look at Wood. Here there is some really decent techniques, I would say, but hard to obtain. This Azure Blade Tome Sword Art. This one you can obtain it by increasing your reputation with the Azure Sword Pavilion sect on the map. It's great. I really like it, but hard to obtain because you need iron for a lot of things later in the game. And to actually use so much iron to increase your reputation, I'm not sure a lot of people can do it. I mean, free to play and low spenders are gonna struggle a bit. It's possible, but if you spend, you're not gonna really have an issue. Bomb Bite is a technique that is decent, even though it's a dark art, not a sword art. And it's really nice. You can obtain it, if I remember correctly, from the first Demon Spire. I think I obtained it, or yeah, I'm not sure, but it's available in one of the events if you are lucky to get it. I think, yeah, I got Overwhelm on our technique instead of it, but it's great. Another option is Green Lotus Tome. I have seen this technique in two places. One of them is from the guild crypt. If you are lucky, it's gonna show in the guild crypt shop, and you can get it from there. And the other option is when your leaking Shen actually reaches Red Fate, you can purchase it for $30. Yeah, that's about it for wood techniques. Let's take a look at metal. Metal is not my favorite, really. The first one we're going to talk about is Standard Verdict. This is not that much about dealing damage as it is about stunning the enemy, which is not what I really want to run my Hanley. So if you want, you can run, I guess, but yeah, not my first pick. The other option from the other options from here are Xinjiang Strike, which you can obtain from dual platform. Again, not my favorite. It works if you want, but there are better options, in my opinion. Another one is Ether Tome. This is actually pretty nice. I like it. And it's also Sword Art, so it benefits from 12%. Grants attack boost to sell for 2 turns, and you also have attack boosted for each enemy alive. So very nice skill overall. And there is also this. This is an epic, purple skill. It's not bad, but I would rather run fire techniques instead of this. More damage for me instead of debuffing the enemy. Okay, this was about techniques. Now let's take a look at artifacts. For metal, I can say that there is no really good technique, artifacts for tier 1. This is it's not the best. Why do I say that? Because the techniques are not available as early as you want, really. By the time you unlock the techniques, you are gonna have available tier 2 artifacts, and as you can see, there is no tier 2 artifact for metal that deals DPS. You could actually try something that's healing, defense, but I would rather just stick to fire or water, really, if you want to use a tier 2 artifact and you have the techniques for it. Now for wood. Wood, I actually like it. Issue is the techniques are either expensive or up to luck, like Green Lotus Tome, or are gonna require a bit of time, such as the Azure Blade Tome, which you get it from the Sect Reputation. As you can see, this is actually a very great skill. I like it. And this is basically the tier 2 version of Molten Crystal. Instead of getting attack boost, you get a shield, which is nice, really. I really like it. But yeah, by that point you're probably gonna have access to tier 3 artifacts, so it's questionable if it's worth actually running tier 2 artifacts just so you have this. I doubt it, really. And now Earth. There is a few more options. This is basically the tier 2 option of the metal artifact. It's not bad, not really. But again, not my first pick. By that point, probably these artifacts are gonna be better, or they're gonna be better options. Maybe if you get a mythic artifact, you can consider going for this. But otherwise, I'm pretty sure you'd do more damage with Fire 1. Yeah. Now the tier 1 version of the tier 2 water artifact. And again, the tier 1 version of the water artifact that focuses on a single enemy. Now let's talk a bit about gear. My first take is that you want crit rate. Crit rate for a swordman is very, very good. So Asura set is needed. That is, unless you are running the Earth build Hanley, which actually requires no crit, because neither of the skills actually crit. So in that case, you want to use Battle Frenzy, which is gonna give you for 2-piece set attack plus 6%, and for 3-piece set in battle, for every HP lost, you're gonna get the 0.3% increase. So yeah, I hope this guide actually helped you, and if you want more content, like and subscribe. See you next time.